Jerry Rawlings. Now, there are those who have laughed and loathed him at the same time because of some of the actions he took while he led the country. But in all of that, members of the NDC say he showed a good example, and some of the actions he took them at the time as a response to a need of the Ghanaian people. And so that's what's been transpiring here at the foyer of the International Conference Center. On the second day of a raft of funeral activities expected to journey the former president home. I'm joined by Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Peter Boama Otokuno. We're going to be interacting with the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Peter Boama Otokuno, in a short time. Now, he's one of the executives of the party who are here ensuring that the man who led their party for all these years, in fact, who founded the party, is giving a befitting farewell with a pledge to continue with the legacy, the principles he stood for, those he espoused, those he ensured must be implemented. And so Peter Boama Otokuno is going to join me in a very short time for an interaction at a time like this. Thank you very much, Mr. Otokuno. It's not exactly a happy time to have this conversation with you, but the man who lay there motionless is the man who founded your party, for many years led this country in many different ways and meant different things to different people. What are the reflections as he went to far past?
Well, not only did Rawlings found the NDC, but he founded some of us. Beyond the fact that he inspired us in the distance from our young youth baby age when he was a military leader. I was very fortunate to have my first encounter with him somewhere in 2006 as a student leader. And that is what has brought me here. As fate to have it, I became very close to the family and actually started my political work from his house. He actually severed my political umbilical cord. So Rawlings and his principles are more part of me than any political principles. Some of us are a reflection of what he stood for. And so we are in deep sorrow. We are very sad. We think that the nation has lost greatly. We believe that some of us have lost very greatly. But beyond that, we are inspired and take consolation in the fact that Rawlings left in us something, an unfinished business, an unfinished service to the nation, which we would have to continue. And perhaps that should be enough consolation for us to get going. But we would have wished to honor Rawlings in a more better and a greater, more friendly and inclusive way than what we have seen the government lead us to do. You have seen that there are few problems with family and government, and the government deliberately and consciously excluding the NDC, a political party that he founded. Then bear in mind that the National Democratic Congress is not any mere association. It's a political party that forms part of the state. So this funeral, if the government were interested in good faith, would have gotten the involvement of his political party more than what we have seen. Most of the arrangements that have been done appears clearly calculated to exclude the NDC. But we are not deterred. He is our own. Rawlings is our own. We are a product of Rawlings. So it is our responsibility to do everything possible to give him a befitting honor. But bear in mind, honor is not also only in the funerals, but it is also in the way we respect what he stood for. And those are the things that would engage us. Those are the things that going forward would direct us. We hope that we would be able to transfer those principles and what he stood for into the coming generation so that his tradition will live on. His principles will live on. So that though he's gone, he will still be with us.
There are those who have different memories. Those, for example, who have described him as a tyrant in his days when he was leading this country. There are families who say they would never forgive a man like him because of the kind of things that happened to them while Mr. Rawlings led this country. For some of those families, at this time, what should be going through their mind?
Well, I think that it was a product of misinformation. All those who have harbored those ill-conceived, thoughts about Rawlings, harbored so as a product of what the MPP did and what they said about him. I think that today, some of those people will be reviewing their notes. They will be reviewing their notes in respect to that we have had a more tyrant leader than Rawlings in Akufo-Addo. Akufo-Addo has exhibited more tyranny than any government has exhibited in this country. So all those people may be reviewing their notes. Those who got closer to Rawlings saw truly who Rawlings was. And even the tyrants themselves, I'm sure when they had the opportunity to get close to Rawlings in his last days, they fell in love with him. Rawlings was not a tyrant. Rawlings was not a dictator. Rawlings was a Democrat. He was a people's man. He loved inclusiveness. He believed in social justice. He believed in probity. He believed in accountability. He actually lived the principles that Jesus Christ left for us. Loving your neighbor as yourself. And that is what Rawlings is. He was an amazing man. And for those of us who got close association with him, cannot afford that to admire him.
Thank you very much. You heard that Peter Boama Utokuno is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC there speaking to us. Now he tells me that he began his political career from the home of the man who lay in there motionless. And that began a career in politics for him as a student leader at the time, and blossoming into what he has become now, as he tells me, the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. So I see some traditional heads who are also coming at this time to file past the remains of the former president, some traditional leaders who are also here to pay their last respects to the late former president. I also see the president of the Ghana Journalists Association, Roland Afilmoni. In a short time, I'll be engaging him to give us some thoughts on the man who was celebrating at this point. Hordes of people turning up here to commiserate with the family and also to pay their last respects to the founder of the NDC, Flight Lieutenant Jerry Rawlings, whose final journey to eternity enters the second day today. And on the faces of those who go in and return, you see tears for some who are unable to put themselves together, uncontrollable tears, weeping. It tells you just how much of a loss the passing of Flight Lieutenant Rawlings is to them as individuals, as families, as a political party, and of course, as a nation.
Okay, back from the Accra International Conference Center, and Kamala Dum there with that piece to camera and overview of what's happening. I spoke with Kofi Totobi-Kwachi, former Information Minister, National Security Minister as well, Colonel FLT.LT, former National Security Advisor and Operations Boss for the NDC campaign, Elvis Ifriyan Christ, Director of Elections,
actually,
of the NDC, and the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Peter Boamotokuno. They all seem to have one thing to say, you know, and I didn't think that it was necessary to have, you know, the elements of politics tinge a national mourning like this. I don't know. The comparison and, you know, all of that. I didn't think it was necessary at this point, you know, when we're asking let's forgive and forget, let's come together, let this unite us. I didn't think it was the best time to vent those frustrations at all, if any.
But anyways, well, let's just go back to the Accra International Conference Center. We're bringing you more from the center with Komla Adum on standby.
Roland Afomoni is the president of the Ghana Journalists Association. He has just joined us. Thank you for your time here on TV3.
Thank you.
You have just gone there to file past the remains of a late former president. What are your reflections?
Some of us have had the opportunity to work with him. As a very young reporter, I had the privilege of serving his office, covering him in those hectic years, those hectic days when the going was really tough, but we drew a lot of inspiration from him. His was absolute dedication to the cause of Ghana. So we had no choice but to drink from his fountain of inspiration. And during his time, it is true that the whole nation was enveloped in a culture of silence. The media in particular were shackled by all kinds of restrictive laws. We were also hobbled by hellish conditions. But the same J.J. Rawlings gave us the constitutional guarantees, specifically in Chapter 12 of the 1993 Constitution, which allow us to ventilate our concerns, articulate our views, hold to account in the spirit of probity and accountability people in positions of power and authority. As a result, Ghana every year, according to rankings by Reporters Without Borders, have shined well-established democracies like the US, like France, like Germany. In Africa, we are always in the bracket of the first three best performing nations on the continent. So the best tributes we can pay to J.J. Rawlings, now that he has left the shores of the earth to the banks of eternity, is for us to allow the truth and the fear of God to lead us in doing our work. We should be emboldened by the spirit exhibited by J.J. Rawlings to expose dark spots and to hold to account people in positions of authority and power. J.J. Rawlings has taught us not to allow us to be intimidated, not to allow ourselves to be shackled by all kinds of inhibitions. So this spirit of empowerment should guide the media in their work to ensure that they do better than they are doing now. So on behalf of the media community in Ghana, we say, may the revolutionary spirit of J.J. Rawlings rest in perfect peace.
Thank you very much, Roland. Nana Otudase is a former chief of staff under late former president Rawlings. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. It must be a very hard time for you now, especially having gone in there to far past the remains of Flight Lieutenant Rawlings. You work closely with him. What does this moment mean to you?
Well, it's a very difficult time for me as a person. Never believed that Mr. Rawlings will be dead. He's always lived. I worked with him in 19 years. And I had the privilege of sitting in his office during the period. Had the privilege of staying with him the better part of the day till about 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. before leaving from our house. Come back at 6 a.m. I had the privilege, as I said, of sitting by his desk as he operated. And we had personal moments. We went through a very difficult period in this country's history. So a period of want. Nobody was paid for over 3 years. The first 3 years. We barely had any food to eat. Those are the foundations of this country, this modern day. We had several attempts at overthrowing our government. Somehow we survived. I think that all these, ideas fly back into my mind as I see him in repose. And it's God's work.
What lessons can be drawn from the life of a man, Rawlings, even in politics and out of politics? What lessons can politicians and young people learn from him?
Well, J. Rawlings lived by what, he thought. He pushed ahead a certain clear principles of probity, accountability, transparency. Even much to his own peril. He earned many enemies because of that. You understand? Many who even today are probably not prepared to forgive him. Ghana from Nkrumah's era had a motto, freedom and justice. Today, our motto expands to freedom, justice, accountability, probity, transparency. These are ideals which the Rawlings has pushed forward. And I think that the youth of today will have to study carefully the life of the Rawlings.
We apologize for the break, but we'll take a quick break and we'll be back with more with Komla Adum at the International Conference Center. Keep watching.
Aya woti ya wo be mem ana ya imo hyehyew hu sensu fitaa bi firi mu ba ugunso ntentem ana ya ugunso a na emu ache woti ya wo sebe wa ya ase esese wo bobirim se bi ana wo prostate ana hu aba hawo aya na onsa na asa wo na ya ye titiri waposo tutu wonante a no why dudu eya se bibi ne na moridie mu ebia na stroke yade na ebo wonkaye Sakra de endpoint ewo Anaji Queen of Peace inside Anaji police station echipe Tachiman endpoint homeopathic clinic ewo Hensa ene just bro filling station ene di nhwanimu for endpoint homeopathic clinic ewo 0244 867068
endpoint homeopathic clinic I'm free.
My husband deserves the best jollof. Yay! And so do my kids. Not necessary, dear. Because for the first time in Ghana, we have the new Tasty Tom Jollof Mix. This has all the pepper, onion, thyme, curry powder, ginger, garlic, and tomatoes I need to cook my tasty jollof with no stress at all. All I do is pour my oil, add Tasty Tom Jollof Mix, fry for 4 minutes, and add water, some cube and salt, and finally rice. And my tasty jollof is ready in only 45 minutes.
So tasty.
New Tasty Tom Jollof Mix. Wash your hands regularly. Stay home and eat healthy.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
What do you need to win on virtual sports betting? Just one thing, your smartphone. Place a bet on 1xBet. It's very simple. Just one click. Then watch your bet win. And enjoy every victory. 1xBet. Virtual games, real wins.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Bet responsibly, not for persons below 18 years. Gambling can be addictive.
Inkolenu pamsu base ede na esham. Ena ni denti ni patodro na eni chiwu. Se wuko supermarket a inkolenu ebusu wo. Sanso na wuko edwemu a bebre wo ho amedi patodro na atu oguso. Inkulenu pamsu base ewo mahodro mienu ye wa bepa akwansusu a ene prekese ewo mu sanso na ye wo abepa nko a ye chimagu konkomu se wo pen dodo atu a frɛ Inkulenu Industries. Inkulenu pamsu base
Ghanaian original.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
A young cop and his fiancée realizing their lifelong dream together. The daughter of a tycoon, about to launch her dream career, celebrates her birthday with her father. But then, the unexpected happens. The tycoon and the cop's fiancée, framed as lovers. A strange twist of fate brings two opposite worlds together. A series of mysteries will lead them on a road to unravel a web of lies. A breathtaking story of deception, treason, and dark family secrets. Missing diamonds are the clue to surprising revelations. And romance will help them survive. Black Money Love.
Black Money Love premieres Monday 25th January at 8 p.m. and shows Monday to Thursday at 8 p.m. only on TV3.
Absolutely stunning.
Tiger completes one of the greatest comebacks in Masters history.
Oh, Durant throws it down. Get the shot on. He's got it again.
Sports Station shows Mondays at 9 p.m. Brought to you by Betway.
Akoto fufu na numu yeduru sro fufu na nkasa numu yeduru senyi pada senyi nelbedi egu hin. 7
Yane wo street call yempe Suma piken dada wo ye ne wo recall yempel. Era yempel wate.
Uko febi mu a. Obi free ne kunu honey. Oh darling.
Oh, what's a honey? Oh, you fancy this, yet you bet me after honey.
Adam, I said, drive found home bank. A picture now.
He said, maybe I'll call a market.
Abusia, market bank.
A she go. Zenge, Mrs. Call for you for me pet.
What? Wait, what's your bad? Me baby ain't shaky. Now, me say my coffee away. Now you flat. The whole Ghana chief securities, Yemesh, you'll be on Fanny Lembla.
Efira every Friday at 8 p.m. on TV3.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us. Not too pleasant a day for us because we are mourning one of our heroes, and we will take you back to the Accra International Conference Center where my colleague Komla Dum and the rest of the team are working around the clock to bring you the sights and sounds so you don't get to miss any at all. Let's connect back with Komla Adum, the Accra International Conference Center, where the mortal remains of Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, retired former president, former commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, founder of the NDC, is now been laid in state, and filing passes being done now. You have the opportunity as a member of the general public to go out there and also share your kind thoughts with the family and the rest. Yes. Okay, so we will take you back shortly, but what you saw on your screens, and as we've been trying to explain to you, if you are a member of the general public, well, there's a schedule. You actually have just today, because tomorrow and the day after tomorrow will be reserved for visiting presidents, will be reserved for the chief of staff, will be reserved for government appointees as well, will be reserved for bosses of state-owned constitutional institutions, will be reserved for all those bigwigs. So you and I, the common floor members, today is a very good day for us to go in there and also get to be part of active society. Bella.
Yes, indeed. And so make sure that when you head to the Accra International Conference Center, you go with your nose mask, and please respect the COVID-19 protocols. But if you can't, well, that's why you're watching us this morning, and I hope that you stay with us all throughout the day. The filing passes are happening until 6 p.m., and that's when all of us get to go and pay our last respects. Earlier, Komla Dum interacted with some dignitaries and some personalities, of course, from the NDC side. We're yet to hear from anyone from the ruling party, and so when we do, I'm sure he'll bring us all those details and everyone else who is there. We've seen the family of the late former president Jerry John Rawlings. We've seen his family also seated at one side, and well, yeah, so that's them. That's Amina, I believe.
Yes, Amina.
Yes, and we have the former first lady as well, and Dr. Zanetta Rawlings is also seated there with Kimathi Rawlings, the son of the late former president. And as you can clearly see, it's a difficult moment for especially the late president's wife, former First Lady Nana Akufo-Addo Rawlings. And as expected, of course, this will be probably the toughest moment in her life. But we're all with her, we're all with the family. We're praying for strength for them, as we all have lost an icon and a hero. And these are live pictures from the Accra International Conference Center.
Yesterday, the mood at the vigil held at the Air Force Officers' Mess was quite touching and revealing at once. You had people who had personal experience with the former leader share their thoughts and fond memories of him. And, you know, Dr. Zaneto Ajima Rawlings was there. She, you know, told us a couple of things that ordinarily, I mean, you wouldn't hear. I mean, for children of a former president or even a serving president, she said, well, he could walk into their rooms and say, you have too many shoes. Why do you need too many shoes? You know, there are people out there who don't have the shoes, so I have to give some out. So as soon as they heard the horn or the siren, they quickly go and pick their shoes and hide some, because he would come and ask why you needed too many shoes, because when he was your age, he didn't need too many shoes. He didn't have the shoes, actually. So why do you need too many? I mean, that sense of modesty in itself, which takes me back to what Nana Tudasi said. He was not political. He was quite frank and brutal to the extent that people now get into politics just to enrich themselves and to think of what they can get, not what they can offer to the country, which is, I mean, for the first 3 years of while they were, you know, there after post-1992, they had no food. I mean, these were tough times because we were trying to restructure and bounce back and all of that. It doesn't happen these days. You know.
He won't be the only person to have said this. I remember when I sat down with the Right Honourable Alban Bagbin, he also recollected some of the moments in the first Parliament under the Fourth Republic and how tough it was, because for them, really, there was, where were you going to get the money from? It was really not about pillaging the nation's wealth. It was more of trying to give your very best to grow a developing democracy. And so they had to make many sacrifices. And to the extent that they even had people from the same party opposing some policies from the party as well. And they had to do that just to help you know, the country and the nation to grow. And if he sees what's happening now and the reason why a lot of people are getting into politics, he feels bad because they didn't have that then, and he wishes that we could replicate some of those moments now, so that a lot of people realize it's more about serving instead of going in there to make wealth for yourself.
It also takes me back to the conversation I had with the late Atokwashi. You know, Joshua Atokwashi was a founding member of the UP tradition, NPP as well, and he says that per the British training that they had, you know, we know how much you earn. And so if you start putting up a magnificent building, we will all be concerned about where you got the money from. And BNI or NIB now, everybody, CID, everybody will be interested. We're asking questions. Even your own boss will be asking questions. I mean, the president of the day will be asking questions and say, I know how much we pay you, so how come you're getting money to do all these things? I think that sense is lost upon us. The very foundation of our 1992 Constitution, the Fourth Republic, which are probity, accountability, and all those other elements seem to have been lost on us because we have monetized our politics so much so that to get a political position, you must have spent so much. Look at the MPs now. A lot of them now tell us that they spent X amount of money to do this. One of them is on record to have said that he spent so much, you know, to even do T-shirts and all of that. Where is he going to get that money from? Back. Where is he going to plow back? So we need to really, really, really think, maybe follow the Jerry Rawlings example and start asking questions. That sense of modesty, that sense of honesty, that sense of work in dignity, that sense of humility, all of that must come to play again.
Absolutely. Let's go back to the conference center with Komla again.
The noise is too much.
I want to know what your reflections are of a man.
The noise is too much. The noise. So if I can hear. The noise is too much, so let me go ahead a bit.
All right, thank you very much. You've just filed past the remains of Flight Lieutenant Jerry Rawlings. What are your reflections? What comes to mind when you went there?
The father of the Fourth Republic. The father of our modern democracy and stability. He's done his part. We need to keep the flame going. We must not lose this democracy. We must behave well and not lose this democracy. It should last hundreds of years to come. The price paid for the achievement of this stability is too much to be thrown aside. We must behave according to the Constitution and June 5th, June 4th and June 5th lessons. The Constitution was gazetted on June 5th, and it said power to the people, the Kokromoti power. Let's make sure that we protect it.
What are your fondest memories? Your fondest memories. I know you've worked with him, you've known him for all these years. What are the fondest memories that come to you right now?
He speaks his mind boldly, without fear. He said, and I've told everybody that you can do a positive defiance and you must not just take anything at the face value. Sometimes we see ourselves arguing and disagreeing with him. To err is man, that's his belief, and that's the man he has been. You can question him, he can question you. You can disagree with him, he can disagree with you. Life goes on. So number one.
How much of a loss is this to you personally and to the NDC fraternity?
I would say it's a big loss, but it's a big gain also. He has been called to the glory, we can't question God. But then his legacy and who is actually is, the largeness of his personality is unfolding now. And I believe that all of us must pray for a repose of his spirit with the mighty Lord whilst we do our best. Yeah, he has contributed too much to the history of Ghana. He was not there for the NDC. He was there for everybody. He was there for all this country. He loved everybody equally, whether you are in opposition or not. He speaks his mind. That's the kind of person we've lost. And I think that he came and continued what Nkrumah was doing by bringing all tribes, all kind of people together as Ghanaian. The central piece here you should remember about him is about the Ghanaian. The Ghanaian devoid of tribalistic tendencies, the Ghanaian devoid about nepotism, the Ghanaian devoid about favoritism, the Ghanaian devoid about unwarranted minimization of other people's dignity. He's taught us to be Ghanaian proud that we are Ghanaian, the forebears of the African Revolution. And I think that we and the youth to come should be proud that the fourth revolution, the fourth republic has come to stay and must be worked towards keeping it safe. We cannot go the direction of any other African country. The three arms of government, he came and built it better. He never interfered in any of them. He appointed people to the Supreme Court, not based on ideology, but based on the character and the truism of the person. He made sure that Parliament chose the best of people to come and help in building this country. He also made sure that governance was done in transparency, honesty, accountability for everyone to see. He fought against the culture of silence. He wanted everybody to talk. When the culture of silence started creeping in, he campaigned against it. Ghanaians are not known to be quiet. They are supposed to be free. They are supposed to talk freely. He has opened the radio waves. Everybody can speak now. Let's continue and let no one take this away from us. Let people protest freely. Let people register their displeasure freely. Let people understand that together we'll build this country, not in a divisive tendencies. These are the things that we must learn out of here. The gain we are getting out of here is to keep and make sure we protect this democracy. Is to speak boldly to power. Is to challenge anything and make sure that you test the laws of this country to its absolute limit so that justice, fairness that he has fought for, the right of all ordinary Ghanaians can keep quiet. Today, a man born in a very remotest village in this country can aspire to be a president. It was not like that. He can aspire to be an MP, aspire to be a minister. It was not like that. Today, everybody can be anybody in this country, and he also made sure that the education has been expanded. He fought for women's rights. He did so many things to this country. Many areas had no water, had no electricity. It's marvelous what he's done to not only Ghana, but to Africa and then the non-aligned movement.
Before I let you go, this was a man who was larger than life. For some families, he was a tyrant. There are people who have bitter experiences of a man who led this country for many years. How do you respond to some of these people and the critics that, despite the good attributes you speak about, he was to some families their devil?
You know, I would say that the revolution of Ghana, Jerry rather was the stabilizing force because it was a spontaneous action. It was a spontaneous action, and anything. It was a spontaneous action, and anything that occurred, he became the stabilizing force for everything. In fact, knowing him, left to him alone, there are other means he will use to deal with matters. But then, it's a revolution. Now, there could be unfortunate ones that might have passed through this, which is what we are saying, that the power to the people, the price was very, very, very expensive to everybody. There were some who must go. But then, who are we? We are women. Today we have a revolution. Those people should understand that their parents or their brothers or their sisters have also contributed their blood for what we have gotten now. And therefore we must maintain it together and be together as one people, one country, one nation, a common destiny. Let's not allow this to happen again. This thing called a revolution cannot happen 2 times in a country's history. What Jerry John has done, he recognized that yes, there were some people who paid excessively for what might not have been done. But the journey was towards this time where we should all have a proper democracy with a functioning institutions. So all we should do right now is that let those people who are grieving fight for the institution to be stronger, independent, and transparent. In this way, we will chart a common cause for a common destiny. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So you had the businessman Alfred Agbeshiwoyome. They're just sharing his thoughts on the man who are celebrating today, Flight Lieutenant Jerry Rawlings, whose journey to eternity is continuing a second day of a number of elaborate funeral rites and activities to take him home. Alfred Agbeshiwoyome, a businessman and member of the NDC there, speaking to us briefly on the life and legacy of a man, Jerry John Rawlings.
activities, you also say a word of prayer for the former president.
Well, so we're back, and those were scenes you saw from the Accra International Conference Center. Bella and I will have a conversation about how prim and proper the ceremony has been put together and how the enforcement of social distancing and also the use of sanitizers at the venue, even though we have a lot of emotion oozing out from the family particularly, and those who were filing past the body bella.
Absolutely, and I'm particularly excited about that because we're all worried about COVID-19 and the fact that it hates crowd, and so we do hope as much as possible that everybody who steps on the grounds would adhere to the safety protocols, will keep their masks on and allow the ushers to take them through the process the right way, so that they can not only protect themselves but everybody around. We all need to go and pay our last respect, but if you're not going to adhere to the protocols, then there's no point in being there. And well, there's a lot that will be coming your way. Remember that the filing pass is on till 6 p.m. and so there's so much that you should expect and be watching right here on TV3. Now, the late Ghanaian President Jerry John Rawlings, like I mentioned, is lying in state at the moment. And well, our other colleagues will be coming your way with some more information on that. But until then,
it is Komla Dum and the rest of the team will be sharing some details. Dela Michelle will take over from us, and then we'll continue the coverage. But just so you know that this is also live on our social media pages on TV3 Ghana, on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter as well. Share your kind thoughts with the family in these trying times and keep them in your prayers at this point. It will be 4 days. This is only the second day of our national mourning of our first fruit or firstborn of our Fourth Republic, the Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, retired. And you could see he is properly attired in military clothing. The last military honors, his full military honors that is being granted him. You saw the cortege, you've seen the military police around the place. We anticipate that he will be put on a gun carriage. We anticipate also that the Air Force will do some skills or demonstrate some keche in the skies up there. We expect also that the 21-gun salute, which is due him, will be accorded him. We expect all the other military honors to be done for him, as it's been done for others before him as well. And keep your condolence messages coming in. It will help all of us to strongly reflect on the life that he led, on the legacy that is left behind. We can talk about JSS, we can talk about Get Fund, we can talk about rural electrification, we can talk about water, we can talk about roads, infrastructure, schools, and so many other things. So it's been our pleasure coming your way, even though it's not too good a day. But here we are. Thank you for watching. My name is Johnny Hughes.
And my name is Bella Mundi. We'll be back tomorrow morning, but remember that TV3 is covering all 4 days, and so we continue with the coverage with Dela Michelle, but right after this.